It's Monday.
It's 8 p.m.
It's the Monday assessment.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Monday assessment brought to you by the View from the Medway Fancast in partnership with the Gillingham Supporters Club and sponsored by Snodhurst Used Cars and Service Station. In a week where Twitter went into meltdown after a couple of Instagram posts, the Gills also got a 0-0 draw against top of the league Walsall. And we will dive into that straight away. As you can see, I'm joined by Warren, Chris, Mike, and John. How are we doing, fellas?
Yeah, good evening, boys.
Well, Dave, I was going to move you up, mate.
We're off to a flyer.
There we go.
Much better.
So, yeah.
So yeah, after a bit of a social media meltdown yesterday, we're obviously going to go into that in a sec. And we can also go into the game against high-flying Walsall. So if we start, as we always do, with the Views news. I'll start with you, Warren. Asher Agbanone has returned after his injury. Do you see him getting back into the team? Do you think we will see him play again? And if we do, where does he fit into this current team?
We don't fit in the current team. If we was playing a 4-4-2, then yeah, it'd be a shoo-in for the starting lineup. But we don't play that, so we don't play nice attacking football. So I can't see him getting in the side at all. He might get in the number 10 role, but no one else has been able to work that role all season, so I can't see what difference he's going to make.
And what about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Warren. All the time that we're playing sort of five at the back kind of thing. Well, you know, with two wing backs, I can't see him being part of that. Possibly as a 10, but I don't think he's that kind of player. Same with like, you know, Joe Bode kind of thing. Like with his striker role, you know, I don't think he's a striker. He should definitely be out wide, but the current system doesn't allow for it at the moment.
And John, do you think that with Coleman's rigidness with his formation, we're missing a trick with the fact that we've got this player coming back to see us through to the end of the season, but he might not actually get into the team?
Yeah, I do. He definitely offers something. I mean, we saw that he's got that bit of pace, he's got that bit of skill, and that little bit of trickery that can change a game. But in the system we're playing, there's nowhere for him, so he's not going to play. Coleman seems really rigid in this system. As Warren said, as Mike alluded to, he may well give him a go at the number 10 role. He's given everybody else a go, isn't he? You never know, he might put Maxime in there one week. But, yeah, he seems to play everyone in that role other than who should be playing it. So who knows? But, yeah, I'd like to see him back in the side. He's got that bit about him. But, yeah, I just can't see it.
And what about you, Chris? Because I know you're a bit of a fan of Asher. So
yeah,
what do you think could happen?
Do you know what? And I think we'll get on to it when we get to the lineups and the bench as well. But I think Asher would be better suited at the number 10 for us going forward. I know he's only on loan, but I think he'd probably be better suited at a number 10 role than the likes of Nevitt and the likes of JJ Morgan for me. Obviously, we have to go on what Palace's instruction. We can't just sit there and go, yeah, you just come back from a hamstring injury. We're just going to chuck you back in again. Because let's be honest, he's only there for another 9 games. But I would, if we're going to stick with this formation and John Coleman is going to stay, then I would much rather have Asher there than anyone else that has been playing there recently.
Would you agree that and say like Johnny Williams, like you would pick Asher over Johnny Williams in the 10?
I wouldn't say I'd pick him over Johnny Williams. No, I don't. It's a different. So we're playing so. I'm sure we'll get into it, but we've been playing so narrow recently. I think that's how we're playing under Coleman. So if that's what we're playing, then we need to have someone there that's got a bit of flair, that's got a bit of like angst and go forward, rather than sitting there and just getting the ball and being happy to either pass it back or pass it to a striker, and you're going down, as Warren says, like leagues that have been closed for years. It just doesn't work. So yeah, I wouldn't play him over Johnny Williams necessarily in answer to your question, but if we were going to play a number 10, I would rather him over the former 2 that we have played there.
Speaking of the loan players, quickly, guys, if you were one of the clubs loaning Gillingham a player, for example, Chelsea have lent us a centre forward that we don't seem to be playing centre forward, and potentially Asher being a winger that we're probably not going to play on the wing. Do you think this could hamper us down the line in the future of clubs loaning us certain types of players? Or do you think the clubs are just happy that their players are playing, even if they're not playing where they should be playing?
I'll jump in there, and I think with the case of Chelsea, with Jimmy J Morgan, I think we're going to send them back an improved player. As he's progressed in games, you can see him really growing. He's growing into the games. He's getting into the physical side of the game, where he looked a bit weak and looked a bit lightweight when he first came. And now he looks like he's growing in confidence, he's growing in strength. And I think that experience will be very valuable to him. So I think in that case, Chelsea will probably appreciate that we've sent them a sort of more rounded player than when he came to us.
Just remember, some of these clubs, when they're sending all these players out on loan, a lot of it's got to do with their financial fair play. It gets rid of a wage or part of a wage for a period of time, and that helps with their financial fair play stuff. As John alluded to, I think players come and they do go back. They're young boys that we've got, Corness, Smith, Agbonne, and JJ Morgan. They're young kids, and they need to learn how to play men's football, because constantly playing under 21 or academy football just ain't good for no one's development, in my eyes. You never get to play real football.
Yeah, I think it also, like, when it comes to, you can't use the blanket statement of, how will clubs feel about loaning players. I think it depends on the player and what stage of career that they're at as well. With the young kids, they're going to be absolutely grateful that they're getting that first team experience, that they are playing, getting the proper feel for men's football. But, if you've got a loan signing, coming from another club, who's a bit more of an advanced stage of their career kind of thing, I think it's a slightly different matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is. But I mean, you look at Andy Smith, and he was player of the season for Grimsby last season, I believe. So he's become a low from Hull, and he's used to this kind of level. But I think, with those guys, other guys that we brought in, that we probably won't see them at this level again for us. But if we can get them firing in the last 9 games, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And on to the next subject, which kind of started Twitter going into a mini meltdown when Scott Lindsay was released from MK Dons the other week, and the rumours started of will he be the next Gillingham manager. We found out that he wouldn't be. He's returned to Crawley. Mike, I'll come to you first on this one. Do you feel like we've missed a trick, or we have avoided a disaster?
Well, before I answer that question, I need to apologise to Tony Woodrow, because on X, Twitter, whatever you like to call it, I was calling him Lindsay with an A at the AY. So Tony pulled me up on it. So I heartily apologise, Tony. But to answer the question on Lindsay, I'm far from convinced he is the silver bullet that we need, because everyone talks about, but his style of football's better, like it's more attractive, everything. Like, the thing is, like, you can play as much attractive football as you like, but if the results do not match, it is ineffective. And he's not really sort of covered himself in glory with, like, after taking the Crawley up. I don't see that as being the solution to the problem that we've got at the moment. I'm not saying that I know the answer as to who that solution would be, but I am not convinced that Scott Lindsay is the one that will be the one that will take us to the promised land, so to speak.
Everyone was just staring at the message.
So you really do value in my point where we're talking about Warren's background. Do you want to say that, Warren?
Yeah, I was going to say, Warren. So, your opinion on Scott Lindsay, and also if you could answer your question on your Meerkat collection.
Right, so I'll go with the Meerkat collection first. I'm glad you saw that, because right behind me I've got a whole group of football hooligan books that I'm glad no one's picked up on. So the Meerkats is probably the better option to talk about, to be honest. But they are the missus's. This is the missus's laundry room, and this is my hideaway just for a Monday night to get out of the way so she can watch telly downstairs. With regards to Scott Lindsay, after the countless rumours and counter rumours that I've heard this week, I think the best one was that Lindsay was already assigned on the dotted line for Gillingham, and then Crawley gazumped us at the last minute, which is something I've heard today. But for me, I've known Scott since he was a youth team player at Gillingham. He's been a decent bloke. He'll always look after his family. He will take whatever is on offer. Crawley came back to him, even though he called their board a bunch of C words, and he's gone back. For whatever reason, he's gone to Crawley, I don't know. Whether it's because he needs to work to keep up his mortgage payments or what, or whether he couldn't wait for the Gillingham job to come up at the end of the season. But at the end of the day, it's dispelled all rumours. He's gone to Crawley. We ain't got to talk about Scott Lindsay coming to Gillingham anymore.
Chris?
I'm glad he's gone back to Crawley, to be honest. He wasn't great at Swindon when he was Swindon manager. I believe he got lucky with getting Crawley up. His style of play is quite passive. It's quite tippy-tappy, quite back to the defenders, back to the keeper, back this way and the other, which isn't what we need at the moment, because we kind of would need it because we don't have anything going forward. But if we had something that was actually a collective going forward, then I just think it's like anti-football for our circumstances at the moment. So I wish him luck. But yeah, no, thank you.
And John?
I was much of the same opinion as Chris, actually. I wasn't particularly enamoured at all with the thought about him coming to the club. There's nothing against him personally. I think Crawley, their promotion, it was a mega lucky promotion. Fair play to them for it. Nice to see a small club go bang, 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 climbing up the tier. Brilliant for them. But it hasn't worked out for him, obviously. He's been on the market, talk of him coming to us, but I wasn't excited by it at all. And I thought, rather than jump in and get someone else who's not the right fit, let's wait and get someone who plays the type of football we need to be playing at Gillingham. And that slow build up, that pass, a lot of nothing passes, that's not what we need at the moment.
Providing the top brass can actually come up with an identity. That comes first.
We know what our identity needs to be. Yeah. Our identity needs to be.
We know that. We
need to be that Gillingham where people just do not want to come here. Where teams dread coming here because they know they're going to get kicked. They know we're going to chase everything from the first minute to the last, and they know that the tempo and pace of our play is going to be relentless at home. We need to have that fortress Priestfield again. We've had it. We've lost it. We need to get that back.
Guys, when we talk about identity, right? I hate the word within football because it's one of these buzzwords that have come into football. At the end of the day, I don't think it's about a team's identity. I think it's about a team that recruits well, as a manager that can motivate 22 individuals each week to do their best in training and to perform when they go out and play football and allow them to be brave. Now, over the last 3 managers that we've had, how many times have we seen any bravery amongst those players? Amongst all 3 managers, I'm not just picking out one, but what bravery do we actually see in away games when we're winning 1-0? Do we go for a second goal? How much bravery have we seen at home when we're okay because we're not losing? And sometimes we become scared of winning. I don't think it's about identity. It's about having people around the football club that have got a bit of bravery.
Yeah.
I completely agree that when it comes to getting people to play as a team rather than a bunch of individuals, again, that comes down to like the coaching, the tactics, and everything like that. That all becomes part of the formula. But when you talk about like bravery, we've seen, in the change side since we've had Coleman, we've there's been a lot more effort, and that should be a bare minimum, granted. But we've seen how Priestfield gets behind players who really sort of throw their bodies on the line for it, and that happens. We've not seen enough of it, and I completely agree with you on that one, Warren. Like, we've not seen enough of it, but we've seen more of it the later we've got into the season, but it's something that we really need to see more of.
I mean, I'll speak about it in when we're talking about a game, but our wing backs, we're playing with wing backs, we're playing narrow. How many times did Hutton or Clark get to the byline to get the ball in on Saturday?
Yeah,
how many times did they actually get to the byline at Accrington? How many times did they get to the byline at home at Bradford? Right? If you're going to play wing backs, it's about getting your full backs brave enough to get past the last man to be able to get crosses in for whatever strikers we got. I mean, Elliot never. I mean, he must be putting his hair out because the amount of chances that are created for him are nigh on nil. And when you're looking at a striker at any levels, probably scoring 1 in 4 chances, he's probably getting 1 in 4 chances every 3 months.
Yeah. So I think I was going to say, the thing I don't understand as well is for the last 2 seasons, we've had the August manager of the month. And I'm pretty certain this year Bonner was up for September. I'm not sure last year. Like, every fan's wish is your team starts well each season. We seem to do that and then somehow just fall off a cliff. I don't know who's to blame for that type of drop off, especially because it seems quite consistent now.
Well, we've seen it. I blame
Grimsby. I blame Grimsby because both times we played Grimsby last year and we dropped off because we lost to Grimsby. This year we dropped off after we lost to Grimsby, so I'm blaming Grimsby.
We've seen it happen over like a few times, haven't we? Like, where we start off the season, we started well with Harris, we started well with Bonner, we started well with Justin Edinburgh as well. One season before, like that completely tailed off, kind of thing. Unfortunately, I don't think we can blame Grimsby for that as well. But
that was Wigan.
Yeah, exactly so. But we've seen it happen a few times. But the thing is, it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? We start getting a bit excited. We dare to dream a little bit, and then reality comes crashing in where we can't see it through for the entirety of a season. With very few exceptions, like our title-winning season, under Mad Dog, but. It's difficult to sort of put your finger on, like, why does it keep happening to us? Because I'm sure that if you ask any club, it's happened to them all at some point as well. It's just one of those things that happens in football.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the fun that was last night. So for anyone that wasn't or isn't aware of what happened last night, a couple of Gills players, Jaden Clark and Shad Ogie, released cryptic, not cryptic Instagram messages, which then appeared all over Twitter or X, and the Twitter world went into meltdown of guessing what they were trying to say, and full-on war took on between Gills fans and then between the players. I'll start with you on this one, Chris. What are your thoughts on players releasing cryptic messages? Because for me, I think they knew what people were going to think from that. Whether I saw Jaden Clark replied saying certain things about it, but I think everyone was going to take their point on that. And then what do you make of the players then engaging with fans that go on the attack?
Do you know what? Like, they're probably trying to get a reaction to an extent. With what they're saying, I don't agree wholeheartedly with the cryptic stuff. If you're going to say something, say something. I've just always been that kind of person. But if you call a player out and they come back at you, don't then go, oh, he's a mug, he's this, that, and the other. I've always lived by the motto, and I apologise for the language, fuck around and find out. So if you're gonna sit there and mug me off, expect it back. They're human. That's for me. That's their prerogative, right? I don't agree with it when it's a face-to-face communication where, for example, people are booing and then a player tells the fans to F off at a game. I think that's a little bit unprofessional. But Jaden Clark, especially, has got a lot of rubbish the last year or so on social media by various accounts. All right. Why can't he reply to that? Why can't he, and there was some petulance on his part last night. I think a couple of people said personal attacks, but the accounts in question didn't actually have their name in it. So their personal name, so I don't know how it's a personal attack. But yeah, I think that it was a little bit silly on his part, but at the same time, like, give the guy a break for a little bit. Like, he doesn't get paid to stand against a brick wall and have rocks thrown at him. Like, if you're going to mug him off, expect it back.
And John, I'll come to you. So you're a business owner, and I'm pretty certain people high at the club will have seen what happened last night. What would you be doing as a business owner if you saw members of your staff doing little cryptic messages that could be about you as their boss?
Do you know what? In that situation, you just pull them to one side and have a word with them. You deal with it internally. That's how you deal with it. I can understand Jaden Clark's frustration. He's our top scorer this season. Not that we've scored a lot, but he is our top scorer. And he can't even get a sniff. He can't even get in the bench. And that's a real shame, I think, because I think he's a talented boy. And I understand him sort of pushing back at fans as well, because the amount of stick he has had over the last year or so is incredibly unfair. Even when he was in the team and playing well, people were still slagging him off. And I think he was one of those players that it's almost fashionable amongst a certain section of the fan base to dislike and to slag off. So, and what people need to remember, he's still a young lad. He's only 23 as well. He's early in his career. And yeah, if people get on his back, he's going to push back. But yeah, as for the cryptic stuff, the club will deal with it in-house. I'm sure someone will put him to one side, have a word with him. And yeah, it'll be dealt with in-house, and that'll be the last we hear of it.
And Warren, what are your thoughts on this? And are the players that aren't in the squad at the moment almost making it impossible for John Coleman to select them now?
The world's gone mad, right? We want social media. We want to follow players' accounts. We want to listen to what they have to say. When they do something that's maybe not quite saying what they're actually trying to say, the world goes mad. And then when you do have a conversation with a player about what they've said, the player then bites back and they get abuse, right? If you want players to be part of social media and you want to interact with football players, then you got to expect that actually they're going to have a conversation just like you would anyone else on social media, right? You can't just keep pulling players out because you don't like what they say. At the end of the day, I mean, in this past week, I've heard so many rumours about this happening, that happening. This player's doing this player's doing that. There's a lot of trouble going on. There's no trouble. I see people having a go at our new owners about accounts being late. And honestly, it is horrific, right? What world do people live in now? Right? I just don't get it. I really don't. And I don't get the social media thing. I thought social media was there to put your views out and have a bit of banter and a laugh and a joke, right? All I see is people losing their rag. I see the person that is in the middle of all this on social media. I know he's had about 5 different accounts on Twitter and I've called him out on every one of them, right? I'm afraid people hide behind the keyboard and think that they're in the right. Now, what you'll get is that most of these people that hide behind the keyboard never go to a Gills game. They're quite happy to slaughter the club from afar, but never actually put any money into the club by going each week. So, as far as I'm concerned, why are we listening to these people? Why do we give them the time of day by arguing with them? Why do we give them the time of day by giving them a platform to be able to say, look at me, I'm Sandra D? Let's not talk about these people. They're idiots.
I do love Greece, though. I've got to admit. I do love Greece.
You just thought you'd add that bit there, Chris.
Yeah, just thought I'd add that bit. Like, don't
prime bit of knowledge dropped on us
talk
there.
about living here and John in a bad way.
Yeah, he's not having it, Warren. He'll fight you. He'll die on this hill.
Honestly, I just don't get where what people want from social media anymore. Is it a platform so they can go and slaughter everyone and hide behind a different name or hide behind a handle which doesn't say who they are or where they are or whatever? When I made a conscious effort when I go on X, my name's on there, so people know who I am. So when I have something to say, if people don't like it, it's fine, but at least I can own it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These people can't even own their tweets because they hide behind many pseudonyms, many different faces, and to me, that's what's wrong with social media. And I feel sorry for Jaden, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry he's out of the team because I don't think he's good enough, but that's my own opinion. That's not me having a go at Jayden personally. It's just my opinion. I don't think he's good enough to play at this level of football. But other people got an opinion that he is good enough.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I'm quite happy to have a difference of opinion. But all this social media malarkey, and it just does me head in.
Mike, do you think it was made slightly worse by the fact that they literally did their Instagram posts? It felt like at exactly the same time, as if they could have been next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, going back to what Warren was saying about, what it is about social media, the problem that we've got with social media is that it's bred this entitlement of access, particularly with football Twitter. Access to footballers, access to owners, access to staff within clubs and everything in between, kind of thing. And people feel like they can say anything they like with impunity, which isn't the case. You have to own what you say on these things. Now, the thing is, there's no winner in this situation. Jayden Clark was in the wrong for biting at fans. The fans were wrong for personally attacking him, because at the end of the day, why compromise your professional integrity by biting back at these people? Why do that? And the problem is that when you've got these people who basically put out these tweets, replies, and everything like that, they've got to stand by that. They've got to stand by what they say. Jayden, shortly after he was biting back at fans, was deleting posts because he didn't take the time to think about what he was saying before he said it. There's no winner in this whatsoever. Yes, it does look worse that those two posts that started it all off, that were very sort of similar in tone, and of course, it was both graphics of themselves. They knew what they were doing, because they knew that putting something like that is kind of like that halfway house of, we're saying something but we're not really saying anything, and we can weasel out of it if we want to, kind of thing. You've got to start taking responsibility. Don't compromise your professional integrity. Just think about what you're doing before you do it, especially if you're not getting in the side. There's no point doing anything like that. You get your head down, you work hard, and that's how you work your way back into the side. Not by tossing your toys out of the pram in pictorial format. What's the point? Absolutely none whatsoever. Is that going to change Coleman's mind? Absolutely not. So the thing is, with my line of work, I work in media, and I could say a hell of a lot of things about the people that I work with, right? But I never do it. I never do it because I'm a professional. And anything that I do say in the public domain, I stand by it. I have to.
Yep.
And that rolls nicely onto the next topic. Off the back of the pictures, people were starting to guess whether this was going to be the beginning of the end for John Coleman. And I think it's about time. I think we've brushed over Coleman for the last few podcasts. I think it's time we actually discuss the man himself and what we think should happen with him. So I'll read out his stats since he's been the Gills manager. I think most people probably know what they are.
It's going to be painful.
They're all over social media, and obviously they're not great reading. So he's been in charge for 14 games. He's won 2, drawn 7, lost 5, of which we have scored 9 goals and conceded 15. And that is a 14% win rate. So I'll start with you, John. Is 14 games enough to judge whether John Coleman is or isn't the right man to take us further forward?
I think so. I think from what we're seeing, we're not scoring enough goals. The football we're playing isn't good. As has been discussed, we're playing too narrow. It seems too rigid in terms of not making substitutions when they're needed, or when he does, making the wrong substitutions, playing players out of position, which absolutely does my head in. I don't understand it. Joe Bode, everyone knows he's a winger. Stevie Wonder can see he's a winger, but we're still playing him as a striker. Just do not get it at all. That's hampering us. And if he's not the man to take us forward next season, which he isn't, I don't think anyone would say he is. Well, maybe they would, but I disagree with them. What's the point in keeping him if he's not the man for next season? What we need to do is get the new fella in there, whoever that's going to be, and let them have experience working with this squad. Now, it's all right saying let a manager have a pre-season, fine, but surely it'd be our own advantage to have that new person come in as soon as possible, work with the current squad in sort of a live format on match days, as well as just watching them train and do that world apart training and match days. So for me, no, he's not the man to take us forward next season. Don't like the football. Yes, he's got a bit of a tune out of the players. We're seeing more effort than we were seeing before. But really, what does that matter when we're not getting the results? And I can't see things changing next season if we stay with the same manager. I think we're going to have more of the same. So, yeah, that's how I see it.
So, Warren, I saw you put your hand up as in you're in favour of John Coleman. So, over to you to explain your reasons behind it.
Right. So when he joined the club, right, how many of us sitting here when the appointment was made and it was made to the end of the season, did we say, good, we've got an experienced manager at the helm?
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people. Right.
I said myself that the players needed a rocket, and they're going to get the rocket.
Yeah.
But,
so when he comes in and he gives a rocket, and he sorts out a dressing room that's broken, and he weeds out those that ain't been trying in quite a few games, right? And he's left with whatever squad he's got left to play, and a lot of the players that were deemed as our attacking players, who was going to make things happen for us, but never did, and they're out of the squad. What option has he had with his formation? Because at the end of the day, his remit was not to get us relegated. And at the point of him joining the football club, we were going to get relegated. If we'd have carried on in that trajectory, right, we'd have got relegated this season. Absolutely. If Bonner had stayed, he'd have got us relegated. So when I look at what we've got, we've played. How many of the top teams have we played at home since Coleman's been here? How many tough away games where the players have had to travel lots of miles, where over a course of a season, it does tend to take its toll. I mean, we had Barrow and Carlisle in February. We've had Accrington. We've had Newport on a Tuesday night. We've now got Harrogate this week. I think the odds have been stacked against him. Now, you came up with the stats. We've won 2, drawn 5, lost 5?
Drawn 7, lost 5, 1,
so,
2.
In 9 games, right, since Bonner's left, right, we haven't lost, and we've only lost 5. We've seen an improvement in the players, which are not his players, by the way. And I just look and I think, are we being a little bit too harsh? Do we need another manager? Right? It'd be the 4th one. Who's going to want to come here and make this a project if they know we get rid of managers after 3 months? It's ridiculous. Hey, Coleman's got to have he's obviously sorted out who he'd want and who he wouldn't want, what players he would like to bring in. Unfortunately, we go back to recruitment. The recruitment's been horrific. It's not done anything for us. We've thrown money away because we've needed to stay up. But I think the biggest thing is in 3 years, we've not scored any goals. We've not excited the supporters. We've excited us by being resilient and defending for our lives when we've maybe taken a 1-0 lead. And that's been the biggest excitement. It's not been through free-flowing football. Now, the reason for that is because there's no pace in the side. If you want to play free-flying football, you've got to have pace. Now, when has our recruitment brought in pace over the last 3 years? Since Hessenthal has been in the job, how much pace has he brought into the team?
Yeah.
Right? And all these people who say Coleman's worse than whatever, I'm sorry, I totally disagree. And I think it's a bit unfair that you hear so many rumours that Lindsay was coming in, Gareth Ainsworth's coming in, Coleman's getting sacked today, which hasn't happened. Do we think we've been a little bit unfair to John Coleman? Because I do. And I'd like to see him keep the job. For next season, be given the opportunity to build something, because football clubs do not get built on 3 months. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, I'll come to you. What are your thoughts? Is Coleman managing himself out of the job? Again, as we go on with goals, in the 14 games Coleman's been here, we've not scored 2 goals in a game.
Well, I don't think he's doing it deliberately, but I mean, it casts my mind back to like when Coleman was announced. I said at the time, this is a free hit. You know, the contract is until the end of the season. He'll either, do the job and keep the job for next season, or he won't be able to turn this lot around, and he'll find himself, probably, replaced by somebody else come into the season. The stats for me, they're not good enough. I totally take on board the point that, look, the team that he's inherited, the confidence level that they've got, to try and drag them up to a winning standard is a longer road than perhaps it normally would be. But we had no new manager bounce or anything like that. And the thing is, I've maintained this all along. See where we are at the end of the season. It's absolutely pointless to get rid of Coleman now. It's absolutely pointless. There's no point in us doing that right now. But when we get to the end of the season, we'll see what the stats say then, and make a bigger picture, educated decision based on playing the remaining games of the season as well to add to the picture. I don't think there's any point in us sort of looking beyond that point right now.
Okay, and Chris, this is probably the biggest job that John Coleman's had when you look at the teams that he's managed before. Has the job been too big for him? And if the club were to get rid of him, is that more beneficial for the next manager to have a chance to decide who releases the players, or does John Coleman deserve that chance to be the person that sees the season out and it makes his decisions on who stays and who goes?
I'm going to get on to something else, but I will answer your questions first. Sorry. I think that, is it too big for him? No. I think that he's got more than enough experience to manage this club. Emphasis on club. I don't think that any manager with this team as a collective is able to manage this set of players. Personally, I just think that you've got 3 managers that have been there now, 4 managers if you include Harris, that aren't able to get a tune out of the majority of these players. So I think that, yes, he is more than capable of managing a club of this size. I don't think he's capable of managing this group of players.
Should get rid of
Anyway, so I'm just going to quickly touch on what Fred said. So Fred has put travel is a comfortable coach. You would know if you went to games. And Warren has lost the plot, apparently. But
apparently because I've had a little dig at him. He's having a little dig back.
No, but it's fine. Don't worry about it, because he lost the plot when he started attacking fans when he was on the ME7 podcast a couple of weeks ago when they went off air. Anyway, carry on. Sorry. Is it John's turn now?
No, we're on to the
little rant, didn't I?
I mean, just one more thing about like John Coleman. We're talking about like management capabilities for the players and everything like that. Now, you've got to admit the tactical, some of the tactical decisions, some of the substitution decisions, and also like the comments that he's made like after a game, like even with the Walsall game, he's saying he knew how it was going to pan out before it panned out, kind of thing. Surely, if that is the case, that you do everything, you use every ounce of managerial experience that you can muster to change that fact.
Yeah, but Mike, if we'd have made substitutions, right, and brought Corness on and brought Aimer on and whatever, and we'd have lost that game, we'd have got slaughtered. But we didn't lose the game. We played a top team. We did not lose the game.
I'm not necessarily talking about Walsall. I'm talking about just generally. Sometimes like some of the substitutions that he has made have been a bit on the baffling side.
Yeah.
Or no substitutions because the pitch was too hard.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that one sort of springs to mind as well. I wasn't going to go down that path. I mean,
they'd warmed up on that pitch for 15 minutes at half time. It was like
at the end of the day, it was better saying it was a hard pitch than saying those boys were so crap. Right? They got us into the mess. I made damn sure that they was the ones to get us out of it, and not to blame the people that was on the bench for the game.
I think people would have respected him more. I mean, he didn't necessarily have to play like that.
You can't say that.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a way of saying it where you can say, look, I wanted to leave it down to that group of players to try and turn it around. Mm-hmm. You can say that. You don't have to go down the pitch was too hard and everything like that, because everyone can see right through that. You can absolutely say, I wanted to leave it to that same group of players who went 3-0 down to basically try and turn this game around and put that onus onto the players.
Mike, when did he give those comments? Was it the day after or immediately after the game?
What, with the frozen pitch or the hard pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like it was after.
When did he say give the comments?
Straight after the game. It was after the game.
Yeah, straight after the game.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't care whoever you are, whatever manager, right? If after that Newport first half, if I'd have been John Coleman, I'd have been absolutely fuming. I'd have been wanting to throw teacups and goodness knows what else, but you can't. I would imagine that he hadn't had time to speak with the players when he was asked this question, right? And he was still fuming, and it was probably a throwaway comment that we've all jumped or people have jumped on, right? Because he didn't want to say something that was going to upset anyone. Now, I would imagine that he left those comments for the dressing room, and I'm quite happy with that.
Yes,
right?
Granted.
We want all this media access to all these players and managers, and we have it straight after the game, right? And then as soon as they either say something that's wrong, or they don't say something, or they say something to deflect, right? We're on them like a ton of bricks. Well, Jesus.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if that's the best that he could come up with, right, at that point, it's not. People can see right through it. We know that there's like comments that are said in the dressing room that are different to what's said when you're facing the media. But the thing is, how many interviews has he given over the course of his career where he knows that thinking a little bit before you say it, you can certainly give an element of the truth. You don't have to make up this absolute baloney of like hard pitch and everything like that. You can absolutely say, I wanted to put it back on this bunch of players to try and turn this around. It's an easy answer. And it's also, there's the element of truth to it. He's given enough interviews to know that he can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. But when you're angry, so if you have a bad day at work, Mike, and some of your team have really cheesed you off or mugged you off or whatever, right? If someone's to come along straight at the end of your day, right, after someone's just lost you a contract or done something really wrong, if someone from the media was to shove a microphone under your nose, right, and say, what do you think of that then? Right? What do you think of your performance of your team?
They're all wankers.
And you're not
I've been in worse positions, mate. I can tell you that. but I think about what I say.
I don't agree with this. He could have said something else. It was said, right? We all say things at the end of the shift. We all say things when we're in work. We all have a go at people. We all want to punch someone, right? at the end of the day.
Here we go.
and we all want to lose their rag. But because they're footballers or football managers, right? And because they're in the spotlight, we want to have a dig at those people.
Yeah, it's not about that, Warren. I mean, for me, I mean, I've got a public facing role. Like, you know, I do a lot.
So right.
Yeah, but this is just it. But the thing is, you don't say daft things like, you know, the pitch was too hard, or you wouldn't say that, would you? You wouldn't say it.
It all depends on what context he meant it. Do you know what context he meant it?
Well, I don't think there is context. Yes. I think it was just a deflection tactic.
Was you at Newport? Was you at Newport, Mike?
Right, should we move on, boys?
Should we move on to the Walsall game?
Right. So
yes, we move on to the Walsall game. Here's some facts on Saturday's visitors. The club was founded in 1888. The club were among the founding members of the Football League Second Division in 1892. However, the club faced a setback in 1895 when they failed for re-election, leading to a brief stint in the Midlands League. And Walsall's first stadium was the Chuckery. They later moved to Fellows Park, and in 1990, they moved to their current home, which is the Bescott Stadium.
How many went to Fellows Park, guys?
And we'll get on to the starting lineup. So once again, we had Glenn Morris in goal. We had a back five. It's definitely not a back three. It's a back five of Max Clark, Sam Gale, Connor Masterson, Alex Smith and Romeo Hutton. With Robbie McKenzie and Armani Little in midfield. With JJ Morgan in the 10 and Elliot Nevitt and Joe Bode up front. The bench was the same. The only change there was Ewan Williams came in for Nelson Quembene and Ollie.
Oh,
Elliot Nevitt came in.
It's put me up top again. I don't know why. Right. Anyway, carry on, David.
No, that's fine. So, yeah, I'll come to you, Warren. What did you make of the lineup?
Well, it's the only players he's got left willing to play for him at the moment, because the rest of them are on social media slagging him off.
We had a brief pause and he's back, guys.
I'd like to see us get to the point where we can have the opportunity to give Gow a go in a back four to see whether he can cope at this level in a back four. Smith, again, I'd like to see in a back four, but unfortunately that would possibly mean either Smith going to right back or Gow missing out if Smith was to play. Clark and Hutton, they're doing what they're told, but there's no bravery. There's no real but busting a gut to get down the lines. The rest of it, I think it was exactly how I'd have called the team before the start, to be honest. It is what it is. I thought Wakeling did well when he came on. I thought he showed some energy. But apart from that, we've got what we've got. It is what it is. I can't wait for the summer to try and get rid of some of these players, although all those that are on contracts that won't be going anywhere is going to be a bit of a shock to people when they're still here next year because they want people out. I just don't know where we go with this team. What we can all say we changed this, we changed that, but we still get it's been changed. right? Is Little and McKenzie the right mix in midfield? Is it time to give someone else a bit of a crack, right? Because we're not creating anything in midfield. We play this 10 role that constantly has failed over the last 3 years. Not one player, Dak in his prime and Paul Shaw were the only 2 players ever played for Gillingham who could play in that role, right? And play it well. Because what they did, they was able to get in the middle when we had the ball, and when we were defending, they took a wide midfield role, right? They either went left or went right and took out to make a bank of 4, right? And that's the way to play it. The way we play it, how many chances has our number 10, whoever's played, how many chances from the number 10 role have we created this season?
Yeah.
From a direct pass
Yep.
or a secondary pass. So if they've knocked the ball out wide to somebody in space who's knocked it in and we put the ball in the back of the net, how many times? It doesn't work. We need to get away from it. And maybe in the next league up, in League One, we can play it when you employ better players. But at this level, unfortunately, I just don't think this team's bright enough to play this sort of football, I'm afraid.
Okay, Mike, what were your thoughts on the lineup and an overview of the game?
I miss Timmy Dieng.
Yeah.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. When I think about the combination of Little and McKenzie, it's probably the best we're going to get in that area at the moment, kind of thing. I mean, with the 10 role, I mean, I think if Johnny Williams can play more games, then I think he's probably our best chance in the 10 role. Of course, right, we've got Dak and everything like that, but the problem is I think we've touched on it. The players that we've got don't allow for a more sort of flexible system. It doesn't. I mean, I actually, I know we'll get onto man of the match, soon, kind of thing. But I looked at what Max Clark was doing, and I was actually, really happy with the performance that he put in, because he was absolutely everywhere. Yes, granted, I don't think he's your typical wing back kind of thing. I think that's why we've tried Nolan in that role and people like that. Anybody other than Clark. Clark is a fullback. He's not a wing back. So we need to really sort of think, well, yeah, we'll just get to the end of the season, and then we need to find players that will fit, flexible systems where we can sort of play a little bit wider, not have to play so narrow. Because at the moment, if we're going to play hoofball, by passing it across the back and then launching it forwards, you haven't got the big player up there to deal with it. I mean, Bode did all right against Walsall. Whenever the ball was launched forward, getting to it and trying to make something happen. But the thing is, it's just not. We're not scoring the goals. That's where the problem is. I mean, we're looking at those shot stats. 3 on target out of 12 is it's tough. It is really, really tough. When chances that we create are at an absolute premium and we're not scoring goals, it's the system. It's just not working really with 5 at the back.
And John, over to you as well. What did you make of Walsall, considering they're the league leaders?
I thought they were poor. They're definitely not the team they were earlier in the season, when obviously they had the big name players who were doing the business for them. They weren't particularly impressive at all. I think on balance we were the better side in the game. We looked the most likely to win it, other than sort of in injury time where Walsall all of a sudden really did turn it on a little bit. They increased their tempo and they're 10. But yeah, I think Walsall didn't put up a good show at all, and I was reasonably satisfied with our performance. In terms of the team, it is what it is. As has been alluded to, we're pretty much stuck with that formation because they're the players that Coleman trusts and who will play. The one thing I would potentially change is, again, coming back to Joe Bode. He's not a striker, he's a winger. We've seen what he can do when he gets out wide. If he wants to play that system, take Bodé outside, maybe put JJ Morgan up front alongside Nevitt, and then bring Johnny Williams into the number 10 role, because Johnny Williams is a quality player. He's been a quality player all his career. He's still a quality player as far as I'm concerned. Get him on there from the start and let's see what he can do.
And Chris, finally with you, kind of piggybacking off of that, when you see that was the league leaders, potential champions of this division, how much are we going to look back at the end of this season and just think what could have been? Because this has been such a poor League Two when you compare it to the money men that got promoted out of the division last year. This has just been, for me, a massive chance missed.
Has it been that bad? Sorry, I didn't realise. No, I think I want to go back to lineup quickly. We had 3 number 10s on the bench, and they still persisted with JJ Morgan in the 10. He did okay. I'm not going to take it away from him, but it was an imbalanced bench for me. Like, you've literally got a defender on there. You've got 3-4 attacking players and a goalkeeper. And it was a bit thing. But anyway, going to your question, yeah. So would it be like, I think that they lost it when Lowe went back to Stoke. That's when they fell apart, like gradually, and then it went from gradual to all out shit show basically. I think they still go up. I really do. I think they're a good side. They are a good side. They've just lost a lot of confidence, but then we've lost even more. I think that we need to recollect in the next. Well, as John has said to me before, and I agree with him, if we get a new manager in now, gets time to assess the players, potentially, then see what he wants to keep and wants to go. But it's all going to boil down to, with us as Gillingham Football Club, like, we need to have that, if they don't know what direction we're going in, then is it just going to be a repeat every 6 months? If we get another manager in now, that's 3 managers in the last 9 months, and we are becoming Watford.
Everyone keeps forgetting about Keith Millen's little stint as well.
Yeah,
we're trying to forget.
We're trying. You mean when we lost 4-1 away at Walsall? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Guys, just a quick question for you all, right? If you all want to get rid of Coleman, fine, okay, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. If we was to lose our first 6 games under a new manager next season, what would your thoughts be?
But then this is the thing, isn't it? I think the fan base has been fed a dream, right? So we've been fed such a dream that we're now over expecting, right? In the collective, myself included, right? Yeah. We're now expecting that everything that we do, we should be entitled as Gillingham Football Club to win the league, because we're the sleeping giant, because we should, in the next 5 years, we're going to be in the Championship. That is what we have been fed. We've been fed a dream in that respect, because have we then been not necessarily fed a dream, or is it a case of we've got new owners in, we're then expecting that?
No, I think we fed a dream.
Yeah,
and I think the owners probably regret their. They should have played it a bit cooler than they did with the 5 years we could be in the Championship. I think if they'd said, a couple of years we'll be promoted and we'll see where we go from there, I think people would have probably not been like it is now. Because at the moment, I think if Warren's right, I think if a new manager came in and lost 6, we'd be having this same chat wanting another manager, because that's kind of what we're becoming.
But then we need to stop being that kind of club. We need to stop being that kind of fan base. I'm not saying the fan base is wrong, because, okay, I know everyone's passionate about being a supporter of this club, but maybe we need to check ourselves and retract our expectations, right? Instead of sitting there and every 5 minutes going, oh, this manager should be gone. I've been guilty of it myself. I've been guilty of it with Bonner. I turned around and said Bonner needs to go after Bromley, and luckily he did. But I've been like it. I was like it with Clements. I was like it with, well, not necessarily Harris because I love Neil Harris, but but yeah, like we just need to in ourselves just be like we're a League Two football club, right? We came down from League One a few years ago. We need to rebuild this club, and a big part of rebuilding this club is our fan base, right? Us having a go at players online and players are coming back at us online and us booing them left, right, and centre, it's not going to help anyone, right? Okay, the owners are going to do what they want to do. They've got their own agenda to do what they want to do. But as a fan base, we should get behind the players, win, lose, or draw, because if we don't, then we're just going to go around in this vicious circle every bloody year where we're on the players' backs. The players are mugging us off on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, right? And it's just going to become a massive circle, right? Players aren't going to want to play for the club if the fans aren't going to want to support the players.
And that's what I've been saying this season. This season is pretty much a dead season now. We're not getting relegated. We're not getting promoted. What we need to do in these last games of the season is we just need to show a bit of loyalty as a fan base. Yes, we've got nothing to play for really, but let's get the Priestfield. Let's get the away games if people can. Let's make some noise. Let's not jump on the players' backs if we go 1-0 down. Let's not let that negativity creep in. It's about loyalty. Yeah. And let's show that support ready for whatever's coming next season. Because ultimately it does rub off. If you've got an ultra negative fan base, it will rub off on the things on the pitch and around the club as a whole.
100%.
Yeah, we need to show our loyalty.
Well, the majority of the booing, earlier in the season, came because the players weren't playing for the shirt. They weren't doing it, and we've all said before: is it the manager or is it the players? And a lot of the time we say, look, it's the players. Whether it's bereft of confidence, whether it's they're just not putting in, the effort kind of thing. That's where the majority of the booing came from. I mean, every fan has their sort of like their breaking point of at what point do I draw the line and think, they don't deserve my applause or anything like that. Every fan has their different points where they do that. I mean, yes, after 6 games, there are going to be fans that will be kind of like, yeah, this ain't working, change it up. They're the most impatient people in the world, kind of thing. But there are also other fans who will stand by it for 20, 30 games before deciding, yeah, this isn't working, kind of thing. But every fan has their individual points where they think, where they formulate their opinions, kind of thing. It's all fine and well saying get behind the players and everything like that. I tell you what, as long as they're playing for the shirt, there won't be any booing. As long as people can see that, there won't be anything like that. But
play for the badge, and we support the name on the back. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. But earlier on in the season, it hasn't always been like that, and I think the players will admit to that. That it hasn't been good enough, and people pay their money. They can choose to express themselves within reason, however they want to. If they're seeing dross, no effort, and everything like that, they're entitled to boo as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's contradictory to getting behind the players and everything like that. But the thing is, you never see it when, even if we're sort of 1-0 down, but we're seeing a lot of effort to try and get back in the game, then, you don't see anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, Warren, you want to say something, mate?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on a couple of points that were made. The Gallinsons, when they came in, everyone says we were sold a dream, right? They're not going to come in, bearing in mind the state of the business that Scally had left it in with no sponsors, no nothing, no community effort or whatever. They're not going to come in and say, oh, we're going to be a lower League Two club and nothing's ever going to happen, right? So they've got to sell the business. And sometimes people use buzzwords to sell the business. You don't say, yeah, come and travel on a train, but we're going to make it late every 45 minutes every day for you, are you? It's not going to happen, I'm afraid, because in business you have to grow your business.
We have to sell the business, Warren.
Just listening to you, right? After I asked a question about the 6 games, you're like, well, yeah, maybe we would look to sack the manager, right? We don't give a manager a chance. Well, we're not giving Coleman a chance because He's not built his own team.
No, nobody has said like they would sack a
Right.
manager after 6 games, Warren. Nobody has said that.
You'd all be looking at it if it was 6 games.
No,
I don't think I would.
So
My
why
point
did you
is-
lose Coleman? Because he ain't lost 6 on the trot.
My point is that everybody has their own sort of breaking point of when they decide this isn't working. For Chris, like with Bonner, it was like, after Bromley, there are people who formulated opinions like even before that kind of thing. But the thing is, like, you're right. When you've bought a club, and you got to sell it as a business vision. You've got to sell the vision. You've got to sell it to those who are invested in the club, and that includes the fan base, emotionally, who are connected to the fan base. You've got to sell that vision, and yes, that can result in a bit of over promising. And the thing is, I think there was that naivety that I would imagine that even like Brad and Shannon probably thought, we'll be able to deliver this and not even question it, without factoring the fact that football can sometimes not be like that. Football can sometimes hold you back a little bit, kind of thing. They're desperate for success. That's absolutely fine and everything like that. I mean, do I think that we were sold a bit of a dream? Yes, I think we did. But also, we need to factor that we've had so many years under Paul Scally towards the end where things were so bad that the slightest bit of excitement that we get carried away with it. We would do, wouldn't we?
Yeah. And I agree. I agree 100%.
I've been going 50 years, right? I don't expect promotion, right? I don't expect us to win every single game that I go to at Priestfield or when I go away, right? My expectations of away day is a good day out with the lads, right? And I come home and the football's a byproduct of that, right? When I go to a home game, I like to go up and have a drink with my mates before I go to the football. All right, the football may cheese me off, but at the end of the day, it may make me happy.
Yeah.
And when you pay your money to go and watch football, you're going to watch a game. If your whole expectation is to pay your money and to see the football club win, and if they don't, then it's the end of the world, then don't go. You don't go to see a perfect show every week. You don't expect to see a perfect show every week. You don't expect to see...
Mate. No, I agree with that.
You don't expect to see a golfer, right, make a birdie on every hole if you go and watch a professional golfer, right? You don't expect them to win every tournament. And I think us as fans need to lower our expectations, especially what I call the new age supporters who think that success is a given, right? Otherwise I won't support you anymore. And this is why when I was a kid, I was the only Gillingham fan in the playground because every other person was either a Liverpool fan, a Man United fan, or a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, I totally agree. I mean, the thing is, the want to win is not the same as the expectation to win. Now, the only thing that I expect from like going to see Gillingham is effort. My expectation is that we're competitive. I don't expect us to win every game. That's not realistic. But the expectation, and everyone does have a degree of expectation, is that we're competitive. We're playing hard. We're playing the Gillingham way, and we're just making everybody else's day an absolute misery. And that's what my expectation is.
Right.
And we failed to deliver on that a few times. A few times.
Right.
Yeah.
Under Bonner, right, there were times when we didn't try.
Yeah.
Since Coleman's come in, right, and he's managed to go into the dressing room and sort out, there's not been one game in the last 8 we haven't tried. But maybe Liverpool first half, but I don't think there was a lack of trying. I just think we was crap. Right, we had an off day.
And a real individual.
Second half, we won the second half, right?
Yeah. I mean, granted.
So we've been competitive, and then you're saying, well, we haven't been because we want him sacked. I don't get it.
No. I mean, I'm thinking that as football's a results game, yes, there is a marked improvement on the effort front. Nobody can deny that. But the thing is, like, the statistics speak for themselves. I'm not saying that we should get rid of like Coleman now or anything like that. I'm saying that we should take stock at the end of the season, see what the big picture is, and then, because that is the point where you have to decide: do we give Coleman longer, or do we go in a different direction? And I don't think there's any point making that decision right now, whilst the picture is as it is, because it doesn't make for good reading. It's a results game at the end of the day, and that's the unavoidable factor of it. I like John Coleman as a person. I do see that what he's trying to do, but the problem that we've got is, come the end of the season, those stats have to make good enough reason to convince Brad and Shannon that they need longer to sort of basically carry out a wider vision.
So you was quite happy with Nolan because his stats were good last season.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think everybody was excited about Nolan coming to the club.
Yeah, but
what he's done in the
stats get me, Mike. This is where stats get me, right? They only tell part of the picture, right? The stats don't tell you that this team's tried for the last 8 games, and it wasn't before that.
No, right? but it's a results game, Warren. That's the unavoidable fact of it.
Yeah. So, boys, we'll move on to our man of the matches then, I think, because we are getting on. We're nearly an hour and 20 minutes now. So we move on to our man of the matches then, David.
It's all healthy debate, Chris.
It is, and it looks like it was a clean sweep for the Cat. I don't think there wasn't much competition really this week. What would everyone's thoughts be if Glenn Morris was our number 1 next year? Do you think it'd be a good thing if you've got a 41-year-old goalkeeper, or are there more pressing areas to worry about rather than the goalkeeper?
If he's still got it, he's still got it. That's how I see it. It's only until such point he shows that he hasn't still got it that it becomes a conversation.
If you're good, if you're good enough and you're fit enough, you're young enough. And that's the end.
For me, he's nailed on for next year.
And he's got to lose that shirt, as far as I'm concerned. If he finishes the season the way he's been this season, he's number 1 starter next season. He's got to lose the shirt because he's brilliant, and I won't have a word against him.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to put my hand up here, and I'm going to apologise to Glenn Morris because I've been quite vocal saying that I think we should get rid of him. Right, I don't think he's the number 1. I think we need to bring in a proper goalkeeper as a number 1. But I've been of the case that we should release him. But after the last 3 games, where he's actually made points for us, my opinion is now that we should keep him on as a number 2. And then we just need to look for one goalkeeper who's going to take the shirt for next season and have Glenn as the understudy. But the last 3 games has been magnificent. And for me, the last 3 games has probably won him Player of the Year already.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Feels like it's Morris versus Mackenzie.
The last couple of games, Mackenzie's done
nothing. Yeah.
Done nothing. But I think, as I say, I'll put my hand up. Over the last 3 games, Glenn's been fantastic. And he's gained us points and not lost us points. I don't think he's the number 1, right? But especially if you account his age and different parts of his goalkeeping, I don't think he's the number 1, but I think he's a bloody good number 2.
I personally think he could still do a job at number 1 next season. I think he's got the athleticism. I think that if we don't sign someone that I can get if he does become a number 2, but if he was to stay number 1, I wouldn't be against it so much. Nice bloke in general. Nice bloke obviously doesn't mean you're a good football player, but he's also got that humbleness within himself as a player as well as a human. So I would 100% keep him at the club. Probably, 42 years old next season. Don't know. If you're young, if you're good enough, as John said, then you're young enough. But I do feel that time will start catching up on him soon. So we need to get someone in that And no disrespect to Jake, I just don't think Jake is a Gillingham football player. I don't think he's a very good goalkeeper, in my opinion. When we signed him, he was number 2. He then became number 1. I just think he makes too many mistakes to be a goalkeeper for us. So that's my point.
Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah. So there you go.
As we look ahead to a trip to Harrogate this weekend.
Sure, I'll see you all there.
Can see if John Coleman can get his first win on the road. As you can see, Harrogate's last 5 are win, draw, win, lose, draw, and the Gills are win, lose, win, draw, draw. What are we expecting this weekend? Another tough trip. Warren.
Yeah, we get beat.
I did not expect you to say
Boom. Go on, Warren.
It's not a good hunting ground for Gillingham. It's a dead rubber. I can't see. I can see it being a tight affair, but I don't think we'll win.
Mike.
I mean, my first thoughts when I looked at the fixture, I thought this will be a draw. I think either a 0-0 or 1-1. I don't see there being loads of goals in the game. Clearly, given our sort of respective sort of positions, etc., and particularly our goal scoring record. The thing is, I would also see it as, look, it's a point away from home, and that's okay. Particularly when we've got nothing to play for at the moment. I think it's just for me until the end of the season, just see it out, give a good account of yourselves. I think a draw away from home would actually be, would be okay. And if you'll forgive the terms, shithouse a win, I'll be absolutely cock a hoop, lads. Absolutely cock a hoop.
Chris.
I'm just hoping it's not a repeat of last season when we lost 5-1.
Horrendous. And Glenn Morris
was
very good.
That's all I'm going to say on it, because I don't know if I can see us beating them, but yeah, so long as it's not a repeat of last season.
And John.
I think it's going to be a scruffy game. I think it's most likely to be a 0-0, but wouldn't be surprised if someone scrapes a 1-0 out of it. That's how I see it. I can't see it's going to be an exhibition of high-class football. But yeah, someone might nick it 1-0, but if I was going to bet on it, I'd bet it as a 0-0 draw.
And again, just an advert for our partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club. If you're not a member, why not?
There we go.
I can give you
That's a mic drop moment, isn't it? Why not? See you later. Done.
And a shout out to our sponsor, John. Thank you very much. From Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station. If you need anything, he's your man. And there's how you get hold of him: telephone number and website. And if you're not already, give us a follow on X or Twitter at TVFTM. Also on YouTube at The View from the Medway Fancast, and on Facebook at The View from the Medway.
That's it. I think we're done.
That is it. We are going to look at theatre shows for Warren versus Mike.
It's healthy debate, boys. It's healthy debate. It's all respectful.
Yeah. I never thought
gladiators. They both stand on the thing and have a stick each. We do that.
Yeah. The gladiators.
I don't think anyone saw a 15-20 minute discussion on a firm pitch, but it happened. We will be back at the same time as always next week, 8 p.m, to discuss the Harrogate game. I've been David. We've had Warren, Mike, Chris, and John. And until next week, up the Gills.
Love you, Warren.
Love you more.